Hi, I'm Brooklyne.
And I am Jamie. We are members of the Inclusion Ambassadors.
The Inclusion Ambassadors are a group of young people from across Scotland with additional support needs. We get together to talk about our support in school, and we talk about what is good and what could be better.
Some members of the group have decided to make podcasts about the impact of our Pupil Support Assistant.
We want to share why pupil support assistants are important to us and talk about the relationships we have with them. So welcome to Support Assistants Are Sound. The first episode is members of the Inclusion Ambassadors talking to each other. The other episodes are conversations between members of the group and their support from their school.
We hope you like them and that they help you in your work.
In this episode of Some Support Assistants Are Sound, members of the Inclusion Ambassador will be talking to our pupil support assistants about our support and our relationships. Hi, I'm Brooklyne and I go to Dunkerrig Secondary School.
Hi, I'm Edgar. I'm a school support assistant in Dunkerrig with Brooklyne, and I like to draw, and I also have been in 4 pantos.
You'll have to tell us a little bit more about those later, I think, Mary. My name's Chris. I work at Children in Scotland, and I work with Brooklyne on the Inclusion Ambassadors project. So, Brooklyne, Mary, could you first just tell us a little bit about how the two of you know each other? Brooklyne, do you want to go first?
Me and Miss Edgar met in S2 in biology. Yeah.
And it was always fun.
And so, Miss Edgar, you work with Brooklyne as a support assistant in school, is that right?
Yes. Also with another 70 pupils.
Okay, so quite a lot of pupils then within the school.
Yes.
But I'm the favourite.
Of course. It goes without saying.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got a few things that we wanted to chat about, Brooklyne, that you and the rest of the Inclusion Ambassadors group had said would be sort of interesting things to speak about. So the first question that you'd wanted to speak about in the podcast was, what does inclusion mean to you? So who wants to go first on that one?
I'll go first. So inclusion to me means that everyone is together, no one gets left out within education, and even just in a friend group, everyone's included in somehow or in some way.
Inclusion to me is everyone has a right to an education, regardless of who they are and what their needs have. They should always feel part of the school community.
And so would either of you be able to tell me, Brooklyne, I guess particularly, how does Miss Edgar help with that for you?
Me and Miss Edgar, we talk a lot. We can both talk for Scotland, to be honest.
I think he knows that.
So basically, if we see somebody that doesn't like talking to anybody, Miss Edgar always signals me to go over and talk to them. They're left out.
We had clashes at the beginning, didn't we?
Yeah, we did have a couple of clashes.
Until we sort of got to know each other. And now Brooklyne knows what I expect of her. Mm-hmm. And generally she does that. No, she works well.
This wasn't on any of the things that we'd wanted to ask, but just because you'd brought it up. So when you did have clashes early on, what sort of things would contribute to that? We don't need loads and loads of detail, but what sort of things do you think maybe contributed to it? And also, how did you work through it?
Well, Brooklyne at the beginning did not like getting our stuff out, our desk ready. We had a big clash about not putting our phone away. But then I realised the next week I asked her once to put away, and she did it. Took her a wee minute or two, but then we didn't get the clash. So once I realised what she would respond to, we sort of went along there. But we generally have got on very well.
Even though she's a bit bossy sometimes.
Not my rules. Not my rules.
You're bossy.
I'm bossy. Okay.
Bossy, but.
So would it be? Is that then that I guess for you, Mary, that you had a kind of, in getting to know Brooklyne a bit more, you had a better understanding of what sort of things would help, or what sort of things? Yeah.
It's just not to clash with her. Mm-hmm. Very strong-willed, but so am I.
Yeah. Very strong-willed.
But both of us, we just leave each other alone for a wee minute or two.
So I mean, it feels to me already though like that's something about like knowing each other and understanding each other about what's gonna work and what's gonna lead to sort of like a positive resolution to stuff rather than what's gonna lead to maybe some conflict or some clashing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so the next bit that we had, and I mean, I think it's already kind of obvious because you've been giggling so much, but why do the two of you like working together? Brooklyne, do you want to go first? Why do you like working with Mrs. Edgar?
Well, me and Miss Edgar gets along great, and we have a lot of stuff in common. Like we like the same TV shows, like some movies. We just have a lot to talk about. And Miss Edgar is the person I go to if I've got any problems within home, or like if somebody's gave me hassle in school or something.
We hit it off, I think. It didn't take long. We realised. But as I say, it's not my rules. But Brooklyne then has been known to explain it to younger ones. And that's basically saying that do what Mrs. Edgar does and it's a lot easier. So that's getting bandied about a few times.
Brooklyne, you spoke there about going to Mrs. Edgar if you've got a problem at school or at home or something. Why is Mrs. Edgar that person for you? Why do you go to her and not somebody else, for example?
Because Miss Edgar actually listens to me and she takes stuff that I take in, and she doesn't push my thoughts or feelings to the side. She actually talks out to me in that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. That's really great to hear, Brooklyne. And I guess like what sort of things does she do to do that? You know, how do you know she's doing that?
Well, she just gives me her undivided attention sometimes, and like she always comes up with like grade 5s, or she tells me stories about that help like something similar to help me in that.
Yeah, we don't take each other to heart, but we've had lots of heart to hearts, haven't we?
We have had a lot.
And we sort things out, and I try and help her if I can, but most of the time we sort of work through things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot there about like taking the time and listening to one another, and feeling, Brooklyne, you feeling like you've got somebody who's actually able to take the time to listen to what's actually wrong rather than just kind of pushing you away.
Yeah.
We've not actually worked together for a while, have we?
No, it's because I didn't choose art.
So Mrs. Edgar, you said there about being able to really, I guess, almost relay what a teacher is saying in a way that can, or kind of, I guess, support Brooklyne, maybe supporting you to understand what a teacher is expecting. How do you do that in a way that's different from a teacher?
Generally, because we're not at the front of the class, we're actually beside them. Or Brooklyne knows I'm there if need help. And sometimes I can explain what the teacher's actually expecting. And maybe some subjects I'm terrible at, but we're there for emotional support. So then they're not going to fall out with the teacher, they're not going to walk out of class. We enable them to stay within class and actually get a fantastic education and understand that the teachers actually, they want the best from them. And I think sometimes they can feel, you guys feel this is pointless, and I'm there and I can explain the wee bits that the teachers can't. They don't have time to do it. And some people call our teachers, but we don't want that role, because we want to be able to have this relationship like Brooklyne and I've got. We have a good laugh. We do it with other year groups as well, and things like that. And if we didn't, teachers wouldn't generally have that relationship with the pupils.
Yeah, I think that thing about relationships, Brooklyne, was definitely, when we were speaking about this before recording the podcast, that relationship thing was really big for all of you, wasn't it? Of like, and what I guess I just wanted to ask them, why is that relationship important in school?
Because it's nice to have somebody to talk to and somebody to help you out, because like Miss Edgar said, teachers are in front of the class, they have like 30 pupils and all that, and some of them don't need as much help as some people do, including myself. Like especially in like modern studies, history and that, when it's just all talk and write. And then I got Miss Edgar to write everything down for me, so that's great.
Well, Not always.
But
sometimes it is easier doing it.
Yeah.
And allowing them to listen to the class without the added pressure of trying to write it all down. And maths, I actually keep my own notes jotter, so if the pupils need it, I've got how to do it. So I quite often have things like that, don't I?
Without you, I wouldn't have that phone history.
Ah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Brooklyne, you've just said there that without Miss Edgar, you wouldn't have a Nat 4 in history. Why is that?
Everything had to be like dead in detail, and everything had to be written properly. It was just a nightmare. So Miss Edgar wrote everything for me.
So Brooklyne, is that I guess that the way that the teacher wanted the class to run didn't necessarily work for the way that suits you to learn?
Yes, definitely.
And so how did then, what was Miss Edgar able to do to help with that?
Scribe for me. Is it called scribing?
Yeah, it's scribing. Yeah.
Okay. So she would write things down for you whilst you were able to listen.
Yeah.
And so then, okay, so we've spoken a lot there about why the two of you like working together, and we've kind of touched on this a little bit already, but how else do you two benefit from working together? Brooklyne, I think you've spoken a lot actually about how you benefit from Miss Edgar's support in the classroom. Miss Edgar, I wondered how do you benefit from working with Brooklyne and I guess with the other pupils in the school?
It's good when the sort of, as we say, the penny drops and that they understand that they have to do the work and the fact that they can do the work. Because some of them, I think that's the thing that we can do. We can help them realise that you can do this. You're actually good at it in lots of different ways. And no 2 days are the same. No 2 periods in a class are the same. Which, I mean, there's some subjects I don't like, and it's quite good to say that to the pupils that we don't always like all of the subjects either. But there's certain things like English and math, you have to do it and get by. So then we'll maybe help with notes or something like that, just to take the pressure off them and allow them just to concentrate on the important parts.
Absolutely. Brooklyne, can you think of any other ways that you've not kind of spoken about that you benefit from working with Miss Edgar?
I'm more sociable. Like back in first year, I barely talked to anybody. I was a bit of a moany git that some people like to call me, Stormy Norman. Miss Edgar actually calmed that down a wee bit. I storm lines and I complain a little bit less. Well, unless it's Miss Edgar, I complain a lot.
A lot of it is just knowing what is expected of you. But as we always say as well, we're here for them to get an education, but more importantly, it's for what happens after they leave school and the different things. And we'll tell them straight that if you behave like that in our workplace, you would get the sack. And they sort of look at you, or we can explain what happens, all the extra things, rather than just this is the subject. And it is good. It's very rewarding. We have stressful days, some more than others, but it is good. And most teachers actually like us being in, because a lot of the time we don't always just help Brooklyne. If there's others in the class, if they've got their hands up at that, we will go and help them. We'd never leave anyone stuck.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a kind of an added benefit of having support staff available in the classroom. And so, Brooklyne, you also spoke about so we spoke a lot about earlier on about how Ms. Edgar's helped with your learning, and helping with scribing and things like that. But were you also saying that she's kind of helped with your sort of other parts of school, like socialising and making friends with people and being part of the school community?
Yeah, even though like I'm barely part of the school community, I just stay in the base, honestly.
But in what ways has Miss Edgar helped with that? How did she help you become, I guess, more sociable? Because since I've known you, Brooklyne, you've been very chatty.
Yeah. Well, Miss Edgar's she's really talkative, so I kind of picked up. And like I said, if Miss Edgar sees somebody not talking to anybody or being antisocial, Miss Edgar will make me and my pal go over and talk to them.
Get to know other people and other year groups and invite them to come and speak with us and enjoy. And in general, it's a lovely experience.
Yeah.
We've got a garden, and it's fantastic for that. That everybody can calm down when they go out into the garden. Some play basketball, football, but most just walk about and chat.
Well, Brooklyn, we can tell the world about your new invention. We were talking about our last Inclusion Ambassador session, weren't we, about things we would invent to solve a problem. And you were saying you would invent something that allowed you to have access to Wi-Fi wherever you were.
Yeah, like one of those old telly antennae, whatever you want to call them, the big alien things.
All right.
Connect them to your phone. There you go, Wi-Fi. You might get free for you as well.
I'm sure you'll find it.
So we are that was all the questions, Brooklyn, that you had, you and the rest of the group had kind of come up with for these ones. I wondered if I could add an extra one on, which would just be, so what if you two could give one piece of advice to somebody who was just starting out as a pupil support assistant, what would it be? Brooklyn, what advice would you give?
To be sociable. That's the nicest way I can put it. Don't be seen too crabby.
And what about you, Mrs. Edgar?
To get to know the pupils, always ask. We'll help them with quickly. If you've got, I don't know that pupil, quickly tell them things that they actually need to know to enjoy it. But also that the garden is actually really good for the social side of it, and that's just as important as the lessons.
So is that then about making use of some of the other resources that might be available in the school, in your school premises or whatever, that aren't the classroom?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think, unless either of you have got anything that you'd wanted to share that you haven't had the chance to, Miss Edgar, was there anything you'd really wanted to tell people about you and Brooklyn's relationship that you've not had the chance to? Or or the same for you, Brooklyn?
I think we both respect each other, and respect each other's views. The views can be different, but that's okay. And we sort of, generally, as you can tell, we have a laugh.
Yeah.
Which helps. But there is a serious side, and Brooklyne knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that's come across really clearly for me just in the time we've been talking, is that you clearly both get on really well and have a laugh and have a nice time, but that there is also, like you say, Miss Edgar, there's a respect there and an understanding of kind of what people have to do in school to also be able to have that positive relationship, I guess. And I think that's really important. Brooklyn felt like one of the things that the group all wanted to talk about when we were thinking about this podcast series. So, well, if that's us done, I'm just going to say thank you both very much. And thanks for taking part. If we could all just say bye, we can wrap up. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.